Hello, Northern Virginia Church. Good morning, and we're the Ugolinis. It's our great pleasure to be able to share some devotional thoughts to help us get the week rolling for our focus month. And this week's theme is community, kingdom, and church. Now, when I think of those three ideas and the way that they mesh together, the first picture that pops into my mind is the picture in Acts chapter 2, verses 42 to 47, which is the very first Christian community that formed in Jerusalem when the Great Commission, the New Testament mission to spread Christ's kingdom all over the world, first got going.
And I'll just go ahead and read that passage to you. They devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching and to the fellowship, to the breaking of bread, and to prayer. Everyone was filled with awe, and many wonders and miraculous signs were done by the apostles. All the believers were together and had everything in common. Selling their possessions and goods, they gave to anyone as he had need. Every day they continued to meet together in the temple courts. They broke bread in their homes and ate together with glad and sincere hearts, praising God and enjoying the favor of all the people. And the Lord added to their number daily those who were being saved.
Yeah, what a fantastic picture. What do you love about that picture, hon, in terms of community, kingdom, and church?
Thank you for asking, Paolo. Yeah, it makes me feel very special to know that I'm a part of that same picture 2,000 years later. It makes me think of how this was made real to me my junior year at the University of Maryland. I lived in a sorority house, and from my room, I could hear every Friday night the loveliest sound coming from the church across the street. I was often troubled during this time in my life, wrestling with feelings of emptiness and loneliness, and the sound of singing would fill me with longing to be a part of whatever that was. But I would never dare to just invite myself, so I would just listen week after week. Then one day, as I was actually on my way to look for a flyer for a church group to join, this was the result of a full-out meltdown I had had the night before, a girl approached me on campus and invited me to a church group. So a few days later, I went. And then a couple days after that, I went along to a devotional service, which so happened to be at a church just across the street from my sorority. It hit me as I stood there singing along with all these other people that this was the sound which had filled me with longing all those times before. It makes my heart feel all warm just thinking about it, remembering that moment. God had brought kingdom into my life, and I was experiencing it in real time. And of course, as time went on, I would continue to make decisions to enter his kingdom. And on December 6, 1998, I was baptized, the kingdom coming into me. And now I get to bring the kingdom everywhere I go. And what a blessing that is. As an example of this, I shared at a previous midweek that we decided to host a Christmas cookie exchange in our neighborhood just before the holidays. Another neighbor and I decided to plan it together, just to provide an opportunity for people on our street to get together outside and celebrate what otherwise was a very isolated holiday period. It was so cool to see how excited my friend was about the idea. She was longing for a way to experience the togetherness that had been lost last year. So we sent out invites, and it was rather cold that day, so we had no idea who or if anyone would show. But it was lovely and amazing to see so many neighbors who were otherwise strangers come out, masks on, large trays of cookies, pre-wrapped and safely distributed, and just the lingering around, talking, getting to know each other, connecting, relating to each other's hardships with virtual learning and missing family. This is something as a kingdom of believers we have so much of, and yet so many people are longing for. It was also a natural way to invite friends and neighbors to the Christmas service, and several neighbors were happy to contribute to the blanket drive we had as well. That gathering lasted many hours, despite the cold and the awkwardness of talking with masks on. In fact, it was so cold by the time I went inside, I thought I would never warm up. But my heart was warm and toasty, just like that day I found myself in that church. I'm so grateful that I have the kingdom within me and that I can bring that to others.
Yeah. What I really love about this picture here in Acts chapter 2 of the church is the way it takes us on this inside to outside journey in terms of the kingdom influence. One of the great things that we're learning over the course of this month is how the idea of kingdom is not really a defined group or, with defined borders, but it's more like a verb. It's the rule and the reign and the way that God influences life and reality. And of course, the church stands out as the most brilliant place in Christ where that kingdom influence is and flows out. But here at the start of the passage in verse 42, it begins with talking about how the Christians devoted themselves to a couple of really basic things within the church community: the apostles' teaching, to the fellowship, the relationships with one another, to the breaking of bread and to prayer that could be a reference to taking communion together and worship, or it could just be a reference to hanging out in one another's homes and breaking bread, or maybe a little bit of both, right? Um, but in this passage, it doesn't just stop there, right? That kingdom influence is not just something that's supposed to take place within the bubble of a really, really great church. But in the passage, it goes on to say that they met together daily in the temple courts. So they were taking this great community that they had, this great kingdom influence community, and exporting it out into the public places of Jerusalem. It talks about them having glad and sincere hearts, right? There was something really authentic and genuine about the joy, about the Spirit of Christ that was flowing from inside out. And as the passage says, they enjoyed the favor of all the people. So it wasn't just this great community that only the Christians enjoyed and only the Christians benefited from, but it was something that that went out beyond and into the community around them and made a really great impact and a really amazing influence in terms of this is what kingdom is all about. And so I'm really looking forward for myself and my wife, our family, and really, all of us in the Northern Virginia church to just continue to grow and grow in our thinking and really just in our imaginations as well. How can we continue to feed kingdom into the great church community that we have, but also really put that on display for everyone else and really be that great kingdom example for our communities the way that we see here in Acts chapter 2. So I hope those thoughts are encouraging. I hope they're inspiring to help you get the week rolling. Let's go ahead and dig into our kingdom living challenges and really make the most of the opportunities that we have here just for growth. Thanks so much.
Thank you.